So we got Jaycee Clark with us today. How's it going? Thank you for
Pretty
being
good.
here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So, as you said, you're on tour
Yeah.
with Rise Among Rivals, and
Yes, sir.
you played your previous show at Hangar 1819 in Greensboro, and
Mhm.
your next show is at Scandals Live. How's the journey been so far?
Oh man, tour is always a whirlwind. So just taking a minute to stop and be present and chat about it is a lot of fun. It's really great to be back on the road, being able to see a bunch of faces that we haven't seen in a long time. And, of course, meeting new fans is always just like the best part of doing what I do.
Awesome. And you've done the festival circuit over these years. You've done um, the Rock Fest at
Mhm.
Caddo, Wisconsin. You've done Blue Ridge and especially Warped Tour. Um, do you hold these festivals in kind of equal regard, or had you preferred one experience over the other?
I think they're completely different animals. Like when you play in the venues, you have people that are like solely your fans for the most part coming out, and it's a little bit more intimate. But when you do these huge festivals, it's such a great opportunity to meet new people, and they're fans of music in general. So everybody's coming out just looking to have a good time. So it's a really great opportunity to just give them a full show. And I love doing festivals. I can't wait to do more of them.
That's really cool. And to take your journey back a little bit, when you were growing up, uh, which artists and bands helped inspire your musicianship?
Growing up, I was always a fan of music. I can remember being in first grade, and when they asked me to put my favorite TV show, I wrote the Grammys because I was just obsessed with the whole glitz and glamour of music. And I grew up listening to like Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, Whitney Houston, like stuff that my mom listened to. And I think the first time that I really got into rock music was seeing Gwen Stefani from No Doubt. And I was like, oh, girls can do that too. And it has been game over ever since. Like Gwen Stefani, Shirley Manson, those were my idols. Like even Alanis Morissette.
I know. Yeah, the girl power chic, it's still resonant today, so it's awesome.
Absolutely.
Because female vocals and feminine presence in general has such a unique energy that's like not present, when you're male. It's almost like you're kind of like carbon copies of one another, but I agree that that female energy is something that we need more of.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that when I first started in just my local scene, there were almost no other females in rock. And so it's great that now in 2023, there are so many females
It's
that have
only
come up,
Yeah.
and it's been amazing. So, future is female. Don't sleep on us.
Yeah, yeah, and it's awesome, and it's almost like a revival of like because back when in the '90s you had like Liz Phair and Juliana Hatfield, and
Absolutely.
singer songwriters like that, and then you had like the Lilith Fair festival, and
Yes.
like them just like offering their own unique perspectives too. And I feel like now we have not only that presence given back to us, but like the raw authenticity and the nuance too. That's like, it's so refreshing that now you're not as confined. You're not
Absolutely.
like you're not like it's a free for all now. Now you can say whatever you want, present however you want.
To a fault almost.
Yeah,
But yeah, I feel like it's a really great time to be a woman in music. We're taken a lot more seriously. Like I remember playing shows, and it's always, oh, are you the merch girl? Are you this and that?
or
Or people would
you're
write
the
you off
girl
as
in the
being too
band. You're
pretty.
the chick in the band. Are
Yeah,
you with the band? Are you in the?
100%. But now we're at a point where like women are taken seriously in music, and they know that we have something to offer to rock and roll, and I'm grateful to be a part of it, even in a
Yeah.
small little way.
Hmm. And back to your songwriting, when you were growing up, your formative efforts. When it came to your early songwriting efforts, were they all kind of crappy and haphazard, or do you still look back on like a song you wrote, like, I don't know, in your childhood that you can still be proud of?
It's so funny because I feel like there are so many songs that are looking back are completely unhinged lyrically. Um, but there's other ones that I look back at and I'm like, wow, that one actually really holds up and I'm really proud of it. I mean, I'm proud of all of them just because, it feels like flipping back through a yearbook. So when you look in that songs when I was just starting, I'm like, you know what? They may not have been great, but that's who I was at the time and that's what I had. So, I mean, there will always be a soft, nostalgic part in my heart for those songs.
It's really cool. And then when A Light Divided came together, what were your first impressions of one another?
Um, my drummer Adam and I started this band. He knew me from a previous band that I was in, and we started this. And I've been in this band for well over a decade now. So it's just been, having many members come in and out of the equation, just kind of finding the ones that, stick with you, that are loyal to you, that are, a good fit, that have the same goals as you. And luckily, I think we are at a point now where we've really sort of refined it. So I feel like we've got a really great group. I feel like we're the strongest that we've been. And yeah, I love these dudes.
Awesome. And one of the albums that I remember you from is Choose Your Own Adventure. That's like the classic. And
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's my
what
baby.
what are your memories working on that album?
I have that's probably the album that is the closest to me. I even have a little CYOA tattoo right here. I got it done right after we finished the record because the entire experience was so meaningful to me. We just blocked out, I think it was 2.5 or 3 weeks to just go in there every single day and just write songs in the studio from scratch. We had so many ideas before going into the studio, but when we got in there, um, we just started retooling stuff, and it was the first time we just got to build from the ground up in the studio, and it was like a really super collaborative effort between all of us and our producers. And yeah, it was just 3 weeks of like songwriting masterclass. I learned so much from it and I'm so proud of how it came out. Going into, we had lost a member who was like a main songwriter, so I wasn't even sure what it was going to end up being. So to get through it and come out with songs that I feel like are some of my best work to date was like proof to myself that I can do this. So, just alone, honestly.
That's really cool. Like it's cool how you kind of bounce back. I know even with the loss of one member, it can be hard to just kind of sequence things, but you guys with your persistence and your resilience, as cliche as it sounds, you guys pulled through.
Yeah, I mean, they're cliches for a reason, but like I said, this is a person that I had started the band with and had been in the band with for a decade. And so I wasn't sure if I would be able to pull it off without that person. And I can do it. Sorry, I'm
And
losing
it,
my voice a little bit here.
yeah, and it's interesting too that you mention like basically retooling the songs in the studio. Now, was it like from the ground up, or like was it like, because normally you have to prepare loads of material before you enter the studio. Otherwise, it's like, come on, guys, you gotta work on the clock.
Yeah, like I don't like feeling unprepared going into any situation. So we would take like little riff ideas that we had and then like build upon them in a different way that maybe we saw like going into Choose Your Own Adventure. I thought it was going to be more of a pop punk record, and then it ended up going a more active rock heavy direction, which I didn't see coming, but it just felt right. So I was like, I think I'm going to trust my gut and just steer into it. I'm up for the challenge, and I think we got some really great songs out of it.
it's a really kind of, I know this is another cliche, but diverse. You've heard diverse like more often than not, but it goes like pretty much everywhere. You mentioned, pop punk, but also there's more metal in there.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's more electronic. And I was just kind of looking through the songs, and it's like it's just kind of like all over the place.
Yeah.
Fear of heights was the big one. And
Hmm.
why do you think it resonated with fans as much as it did?
I just think that that song is just fun in a time where there's so much dark music coming out. I really like how Fear of Heights was just upbeat and fun and feels like you can sing along to it in a hairbrush in your bedroom or driving in the car with the top down. It just has a really fun vibe to it, and I think people are missing a sense of fun, and so maybe that's why they dug it. But I'm grateful that song changed my life forever and proved to me that I didn't have to necessarily check all the boxes of things that I thought were alike divided. I could branch out, try something new, and people would still, receive it well. It was the same with Scars of You, the ballad on the record. I always wanted to do a ballad, but I thought, oh, well, this band can't do that. And our producer was like,
That's way
why
too
not?
80. That's way
Yeah,
too 80s.
yeah.
Well, come
He
on,
was just like,
everyone.
let's just do
You
it.
shouldn't be afraid. If you want to do the 80s, do the 90s, do every do it. Even if you're completely ripping someone off, it doesn't matter because you're honest.
Yeah, so I thought that Choose Your Own Adventure was a really great time to kind of rediscover who we are and just make music that made us happy and that felt good as opposed to feeling like we had to box ourselves into one particular style.
Yeah, and from your new batch of songs, there's Inhale, Exhale, and that resonated with me too. It's like just desperately wanting to see the good in someone, even with
Yeah.
their flaws. And when it comes to your own band members, like seeing them through the ugliest of their sides, as I'm sure you have seen them, like, do you grow stronger through it all?
Yeah, absolutely. We've all been here for each other through some of the darkest, bleakest times in each other's lives. And I think it's really great when you find people in your life that don't judge you through those times, Um, and likewise, but there's definitely been people in our lives that um, me as a chronic people pleaser, I'm always just like you said, trying to find the good in them through their flaws. But at some point, you begin to recognize just how toxic certain people are for you and your mental health and your well-being, and it's very one-sided. And sometimes the smart thing is just to let them go and let them live in their chaos while you protect your peace, because ultimately you have to.
Mm-hmm. And it's good, like, even then, like, you shouldn't be like embarrassed that you tend
Yeah.
to please people. Like, I'm a people pleaser myself, and I don't think it's because we ingratiate ourselves to people. I think
Right.
it has to do with genuine goodness and
Yeah.
like embracing the tenderness in others, even if like something they may do may be like awkward or make you feel like
Yeah.
uncomfortable, or that you can't trust them ever again. But like, you can at least like pat yourself on the back and say like, you know, I was strong.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Right. I always tell people, and it might sound corny, but I think that it is never the wrong thing to act with kindness. Even when in the face of disrespect, if you are kind, you are still above that. So I don't think it's ever about pointing fingers, name calling. It really just speaks more about the people who are doing that's character than your own. But at the same time, I've learned to find a balance where I just don't tolerate certain levels of disrespect after a certain point, you know, because sometimes your kindness is taken advantage of by people. And at that point, it's like, well, it's okay to just remove yourself. And it's really hard when these are people that have been part of your life for a long time, whether it's, you know, family or friendship or a relationship. Once it gets to a certain point where it is bad for you, it is okay to let people go. And it doesn't have to be a negative thing. We all grow. We all, you know, have people come in and out. And it doesn't,
Yeah,
like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing.
especially the division you see now with women and men constantly having to one up each other and treating things like a game. It's unnecessary. We're supposed to be a team. Be there
We're
for
all
woman
human,
for
man.
man, man for woman. You know, one, you know, with teamwork. We're supposed to be all about that. But I don't know. I think you guys kind of reintegrate those emotions, and you have to have that teamwork, that support. We can't stay divided like we are now.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
But getting back to the your growth in your songwriting, uh one person who's stayed with you through thick and thin is your producer Kyle Odell. And um with your new song Rain, um, what kind of emotions have you been experiencing now, and what kind of ideas have you molded into your current approach, your current sound?
I think I'm just more willing to take risks musically. Like I said, with Choose Your Adventure, I was really scared and timid too. And now I think that I'm just going with the flow, and like whatever mood I'm in or whatever I think best serves the song is the route that I want to take. So for Radio Signs and Inhale was a little bit more angry, more feisty. But then we have this song Rain, which we were kind of originally when we wrote it, it was a lot more production heavy, a little bit of a heavier vibe. And I was like, I just don't think a song about how depressed I'm feeling requires an angry song. So I really just wanted to strip it down so that the focus could be on the vocals and the message of the song, which is, you know, essentially masking your feelings and pretending to be okay to the people in your life or on social media because, you know, you feel like such a burden when you're sad.
Mm-hmm. And I feel that your sound is you've got it down to like a science, not exactly like a formula, like I'm gonna keep milking this, but now you have just the right amount of balance, depending on each emotion you want to express, whether it be with your vocals or with certain guitar parts. I like how it starts like very clean, and it kind of, once it gets to like the heavier like chorus, it's kind of like, um how the song's about masking the ugliness of what you're dealing with, despite it being like a happy arrangement. By the time the guitars come out, it's like you're letting all that, imperfection kind of ugliness out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I wanted the song to do musically. I wanted it to mimic the feeling of faking it till you make it, so to speak. So, you know, pretending that you're fine when you're not. I wanted to hide really sad lyrics inside what otherwise kind of sounds like a happy song. Um, and I just also just wanted to keep building throughout the song. So it starts really quiet and then builds to, like you said, you're finally releasing, you're getting it all off your chest. And it's really therapeutic for me. And especially now that we're playing it out live, to be able to stand in front of an audience and just work through all of that in front of people and to be able to talk to them about it so they don't see me on stage dancing around having the time of my life, but then also being like, no, but I battle this too. Like we're all here going through the same thing.
Nice. Now, like, because you said the song kind of went through its many phases, like, what version would you say this song is? Like, is this like, because, like, did it start off kind of awkward and you weren't sure like where to take it? and it was kind of like, well, I have a riff down, but this is kind of weird. Like, what was
Yeah,
the missing piece of the song to like get it where it was?
I think the original version was great, and we could have released it, and it could have been fine. But it, for me personally, as I'm a complete overthinker and neurotic as hell.
Yeah, me
But
too.
but for me, it was just missing a certain element of vulnerability. Like, if I'm going to sing about opening up about my depression, I wanted it to be honest, and I just don't think the original version had that. But this new one, where like I said, where it just starts clean and it's just me essentially saying how I feel, I felt like that was, to me, the best representation of the lyrics.
Nice. Now, um, in relation to the batch of songs that you have in the works, I mean, does this is Rain kind of separate from that, or would this be like the follow up in like an eventual full length?
We're kind of just releasing it single by single because I'm so proud of all the songs that we have coming up that I want each one to kind of have their moment in the spotlight. Because sometimes when you just release a full album, it's just like the singles get the attention, and then other songs that you're proud of sort of fall by the wayside. So I just kind of want each individual song to have its moment to shine because I'm truly so proud of all of these songs, and we've worked so hard on them for so long that I think they deserve that.
Considering the career you've had thus far, the tours you've been on, the ideas you've learned to not only create and express, um, what would you say you've learned about yourself, not only as a musician, but as a person?
Oh man, so much. I realized just how scared I've been for so long to stick up for myself and to recognize my own worth as a person, as a musician. Um, and like I said, when that happens, you realize how many people have been taking advantage of you for a really long time, and that's where Inhale Exhale comes from. Just kind of removing a lot of those people, because certain people, when they know you as one thing, when you learn about yourself and you grow and you try to, um, respect yourself, they still want to keep you in this small little box. And you could either continue to let them get away with that, or you could just be like, you can grow with me or you can be left behind. And the power of no has been a game changer for me.
Yeah, and you kind of, by saying no, even when they kind of act like something that resembles like how they similarly are, you see their kind of willing willingness to manipulate you just kind of fade away, and then they're like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, when you challenge people on stuff, like, you really kind of learn to understand who's truly there for you and who's there for them. And
and it doesn't even really have to take much either.
it really doesn't. Sometimes it's like the simplest little thing.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. Everyone else, to everyone else has been taken advantage of. I mean, this is
Yeah,
us. Like,
exactly. I think that's just part of the human experience, is just trying to navigate your way through life and figuring out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. It's hard,
oh man, but we're here.
but we're here. That's exactly right.
Lastly, anything you'd like to say to your fans?
I just want to thank everybody who has stuck around through every era of this band, for continuing to support us, for streaming our songs, for coming out to our shows, for messaging me and telling me their stories of how they relate to the songs. That literally is why I do this. I do it not only to heal myself, but to hopefully help other people out there that are going through a similar situation. And that's your tribe. So I could not be more grateful for the people that continue to support us. So thank you guys.
Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate having you, and hopefully the next time we can have the whole band on.
I hope so. We were hoping to get in town earlier, but traffic is what it is and I can't control it. But I'm so glad that we got time to chat today. So thank you for having me. It really does mean a lot.